Solid Foundation Israelite Academy 2019. Once again, guys, family and friends, I'm bringing you another edition on tonight, late night lesson, and the topic of discussion is sports. So I'm going to be talking about sports. All right. So if you would just hold your horses, it's going to be a wonderful topic on tonight. I will be talking about sports. Better yet, football. I'm not going into many other sports. I'm just talking about basically football tonight in terms of the Israelite movement. All right. Blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, Native Americans. You should know by now that you are the true Israelites that the Bible speaks of. All right. And so I was asked the question, should blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans indulge themselves into sports? Should we be involved in sports activity? So I'm going to state my claim. And by the end of this video, hopefully you will be edified. So please share this video with family and friends. I am your host, Shabar Judah Israel, once again, guys, coming at you with another awesome video. So what you're going to need for this lesson, you're going to need a Bible. You're going to need a King James Bible. Also, you will need the Apocryphal books. All right. And a composition book to take notes and an instrument to write down with. So, guys, let's get into it. So, we're going to talk about sports. So, as you can see thus far, I have a list of football teams. Now, as you can see, let me click on this one. I hope you guys can see it. It says NFL. Now, that stands for National Football League. All right. But we know subliminally that stands for niggas for life. All right. Because these Zionist Jews owns these teams. You know, they runs these teams, and they just use the so-called Negroes for pawns. You know, thus them being their niggas for life. Because sports was not, instituted by the Israelite nation. All right. In other words, the blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, they didn't institute sports. Most definitely football. They didn't bring that in. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So when you're talking about definitely football, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which are the Israelites, we didn't usher that in. We didn't entertain that. So if we didn't entertain it, then who did and where did it come from? Football, family and friends, listen up. It derived from the ancient Greeks, the ancient Grecian Empire, the Greco Empire. All right. Football derived from the ancient Greco Empire, the Grecian Empire. We know that Alexander the Greek, it was nothing great about him. We know that Alexander was the first to rule over Greece, and he ruled over Greece for approximately 12 years. And then I think at the age of 32, he died, because it's been recorded that Alexander the Greek, he died from major sickness in terms of syphilis. Because Alexander was, he was a homosexual. He was fascinated with other men, just like all the other Greeks. The whole Grecian Empire, damn near all of the whole Grecian Empire, homosexuals. All right. So when you're talking about football, guys, Talk about football. Just remember, football, we did not invent this custom. The Israelites, we didn't invent it. Who did? The Greeks did. Now, how do we know that? That's why I told you you would need the Apocrypha. Because I'm about to go into the Apocrypha. So let's go into the Apocrypha. First book chapter I'm going into is 1 Maccabees in the Apocrypha. 1 Maccabees. And let's take a look at chapter 1. 1 Maccabees chapter 1. Let's begin with verse 11. Now pay close attention. 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 11 in the Apocrypha. This is what it says. 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 11 in the Apocrypha. Hope you guys can see it. It says, in those days, what days? This is when the Greeks were ruling over the Jews, okay, which are the modern day so-called Negroes. So 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 11 speaks of in those days when the Jews was heavily being afflicted by the Greeks, the so-called white man, the Edomites. In those days, 1 Maccabees chapter 11, there out of Israel was wicked man. See, the Israelites, some of the Israelites, you know, they tarnished and became wicked. And they also did what? They persuaded many saying, what did they say? They persuaded many saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So you can see right here, guys, in 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 11, when the Israelites was being heavily oppressed by the Greeks, you had some sellout Israelites that became wicked, and they also persuaded many other Jews, telling them, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. Just like today, you got many sellout blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that is in this national football thing today. Many of the Israelites today have sold out to become superstars. Many of us blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have sold out to entertain a so-called white man, to do anything or to keep from facing the condition of poverty. We don't want to settle for that, so we go and make a covenant with the heathen. Just like we're reading about in 1 Maccabees chapter 1, beginning with verse 11. In those days there went out wicked Israelite man, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. And that's the day, that's the blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans. That's the day, you superstars. You ones that sold your soul for fortune and fame. You sold your soul in a contract with your own blood, and now you came back out of it. Many of our brothers and sisters of the Israelite nation have become the so-called white man's. In other words, we have become the devil's angels, selling out for a record deal, or selling out for, just, anything to get you a dollar bill, we selling out. Last but not least, sports. So these national football teams and these blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans on these national football teams, don't think for a second that they have not sold out to the so-called white man, because that's all they're doing, running up and down the field to entertain the so-called white man and his people for financial gain. They sold out, man. So it's nothing new under the sun, all right? We are not to make a covenant with the heathen. Now watch this. Let me go into the Bible. I will go back into the Apocrypha. Let me go into the Bible. Let me go to Proverbs 3:31. Matter of fact, let me go to Jeremiah chapter 10 first. Jeremiah chapter 10. Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh to you, O house of Israel. So we supposed to hear the words that the Most High have given us, the Israelites. Jeremiah 10:2. Thus say the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. So we are not supposed to learn the way of the heathen. Now what's a prime example of a Hebrew Israelite going off and learning the ways of the heathen? You want to be like the white man. You want to be like the Chinese, the Japanese, the East Indians, the Arabs, and the Africans. What's the prime example of you learning the way of the heathen when the Bible tells you not to learn the way of the heathen? What's the prime example? First Maccabees, man, in the Apocrypha. First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 11. When these wicked Israelite men left the law, statutes, and the commandments that God hath given them, and persuaded others and told them, man, forget these laws that the Heavenly Father has given us. Forget the Sabbath day. Forget the ceremonial law. Forget the civil law. Forget the moral laws. Forget the dietary laws, man. Let's go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. Who are the heathens? Nations that are not Israelites. Nations that are not blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans. Your friendly neighborhood white man. Now watch this. I'm continuing to read on. Watch this. They said, let's go and make a covenant with the heathen. This is what the Jews said. They that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Now verse 12 in First Maccabees chapter 1 says, so this device pleased them well. First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 13. Then said of the people, then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king. That's talking about King Antiochus, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen, man. So you had these wicked ass Jews that went to King Antiochus, man. King Antiochus the fourth, the son of Antiochus the third. These wicked ass Jews went to him to get license to do after the ordinances of the heathens. Now what is that? To get license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. That's selling your soul, man. Basically to get license is to be certified, certification. And this is exactly what blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans has done today when it comes down to the National Football League, man. Let's go get licensed. Let's get certified. See? Let's run up and down the field and let's shuck and jive and coon around and make the so-called white man millions and millions of dollars. Let's entertain these so-called white people. Anything but captivity, anything but poverty. Let's go make a covenant with the heathen. And let's go to these heathens so they can give us license to do after the ordinances of them. First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 14. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem. See that? These Jews did that, man. And the Greeks made them do that. The Greeks made the Jews build a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen. See, it wasn't their customs. See, when they constructed, when the Jews gathered together to construct this place of exercise, now what is that? That's a gymnasium. So when the Jews gathered together to construct this gymnasium, the place of exercise at Jerusalem, they did it not according to their customs. They did it according to the customs of the heathen. So let me tell you something. When you're thinking about a gymnasium in terms of workout and sports, those are heathen customs, guys. Heathen customs. Let me type that in. Gymnasium. Gymnasium. Because that's exactly what the Jews built. Gymnasium.
Gymnasium. Gymnasium.
Now, what is a gymnasium? A gymnasium is a room or building equipped for gymnastics, games, and other physical exercise. You see? Now, guys, you know the etymology of gymnasium? Gymnasium comes from the Greek word gymnos, which means naked. If you don't know that. And I'm going to show you this. Gymnos. So let's type in the etymology of gymnasium. Etymology. Etymology. Etymology of gymnasium. And watch this. And watch this, guys. It says gymnasium.
Gymnasium.
Now, the origin, Greek. Gymnos. Some may pronounce it gymnos. And what does it say? It says naked. As you can see, it says naked. So the origin of gymnasium is gymnos or gumnos, which means naked. Greek, you see that? Exercise, to exercise naked. To exercise naked, man. See? That's not the Israelites' customs. Because we didn't roll like that. So when you looking at the term gymnasium, it means gymnasium comes from the Greek word gymnos or gumnos, which means naked or to exercise naked. See? Or you may say a place of naked exercise. So when you go back and when you go into let's see, ancient Greek sports, you can see that's what our people were doing, man. They were doing that. See right here, these black Jews exercising naked. Gymnasium, gymnos, to exercise naked. So back in the day, guess what? Our people, when we were entertaining those Greeks, we was entertaining the so-called white man. Back in the day, we wasn't entertaining them with uniforms on, guys. Back in the day, we were not entertaining them with uniforms on. We were entertaining them. We were entertaining these white folks butt ass naked, running around with our ass slapped out. Because I told you, sports is not a Hebraic custom. Definitely not football, because football is a Grecian custom. So guys, back in the day, we were not wearing uniforms. Guess what? This is us right here. Butt ass naked. Running around, entertaining these so-called white folks. Alright? Please believe that. And this is 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 14 in the Apocrypha. Whereupon they built the place of exercise at Jerusalem. What is that place of exercise? A gymnasium, according to the customs of the heathen. All right. So football is a heathen custom. Now watch this, guys. First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 15. And made themselves, the Jews, they made themselves uncircumcised, because we know that all Jews must be circumcised. But they made themselves uncircumcised, and they also forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen. A lot of our brothers and sisters are doing that today in the entertainment industry, in the music industry, trying to become a superstar, trying to gain fortune and fame. They would do anything to escape the life of poverty, and so they'll leave the holy covenant and join themselves to the heathen. Like a lot of these Uncle Tom niggas that's in these sport organizations. All right, I'm telling you right now, it's recording in scripture. First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 15. Joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. Were sold to do trickery and treachery. See, now watch this, guys. That's not all. Now I'm going over to, because I told you I was dealing with sports. Now I'm going over to Second Maccabees. I'm not going to hold you guys very long. I'm going over to Second Maccabees. So let's go over to Second Maccabees now. We are still in the Apocrypha. I'm just going to Second Maccabees because we were reading from First Maccabees. So let me go to Second Maccabees now. Wait a minute, guys. So I'm scrolling down to go to Second Maccabees in the Apocrypha. Second Maccabees. Okay, let me click on it. Guys, I appreciate your time, your effort. You will be edified. Second Maccabees, and let's take a look at chapter 4. So the book of Second Maccabees, chapter 4, dealing with sports. Now we're going to start from Second Maccabees, chapter 4, and I would just, I guess I would start from verse 9. So this is Second Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 9 in the Apocrypha. Now watch this. I hope you guys can see it. Second Maccabees 4, verse 9. Besides this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have license to set him up a place for exercise. That's that gymnasium. All right. And gymnasium comes from the Greek word gymnos, which means a place of exercise, to exercise naked. And it says, and for the training up of the youth in the fashions of the heathen. See that? So like I'm telling you right now, when you're talking about a place of exercise in terms of a gymnasium, a gym, and sports, and training up the youth, all this goes back to what? It goes to the fashions of the heathen, man. Because our people didn't rock and roll like that. These sports, definitely football, these are heathen fashions, man. These are heathen customs. Because that's all we want to do, play football. We don't want to do nothing else. All we want to do, play football and coon for the so-called white man. Running up and down a goddamn field. Cooning for the so-called white man. And we telling you that's not how we rock and roll, because football definitely is not the customs of the Hebrews, man. We learned that from the Greeks. We learned that from the Greeks to run on the field butt ass naked. We learned that from the Greeks, and I'm showing it to you in 2 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 9. These are fashions of the heathens, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians. So they had a ball team by the name of Antiochians. They called this ball team Antiochians, and these are your modern day different teams today. You see, today you will see teams like this. You know, it's many teams today. Just prime examples of football teams today. Dallas Cowboys, Miami Dolphins, Green Bay Packers, Pittsburgh Steelers. You see, Atlanta Falcons and so forth. All these diverse football titles, these football team names. You see, I'm letting you see where it came from. 2 Maccabees chapter 4 in the Apocrypha. 2 Maccabees chapter 4 verse 9. It says, besides this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have license to set him up a place of exercise and for the training up of the youth. Now, what is that? I'm going to break it down. So, the training up, how can I break this down? Let's see. I will break it down when I get down to the 12th verse. So it says a place for exercise and a training in the youth, the fashion of the heathens. See? Fashion of the heathens, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochus. So they created this ball team by the name of Antiochus. And King Antiochus was a wicked ass man, because he persecuted many of our people. King Antiochus did many unspeakable atrocities, committed atrocious acts against the Hebrew Israelites during the time of the Grecian reign. Then he gonna make certain of us sell out and entertain him and play for his team called Antiochus. And then it says in 2 Maccabees chapter 4 verse 10, which when the king had granted, he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to Greekish fashion. So we showing you right there, football is Greekish fashion. It's Greekish fashion, man. It's Greekish fashion, guys. 2 Maccabees chapter 4 verse 11. And the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Jews. See? To the Jews. We was cooning back in that time. We was cooning for the white man then. Because we was slaves. We was in captivity under the Grecians. What we doing? Cooning for the so-called white man. You see? Cooning. As you can see, I'm just showing you sports activities. We were cooning for the so-called white man because we were entertaining. That's what they did while we was in our captivity. The Greeks made us entertain them in terms of sports. See? They made us entertain them in terms of sports. Wrestling, long jumping, relay racing. Because the ancient Jews, they were black people, man. So don't let this fool you. It says ancient Greek sports. But really, these are black people. These are supposed to be black people because those were the Jews that was entertaining the Greeks. I'm just letting you see. And this was like back in 333 BC. On out. See that? That's why when you see these portraits, that's why. Wait a minute. Let's see, can I move this? When you see these portraits, that's why you see these black images, because those represent the black Jews, the so-called Negroes of today. That was us that was entertaining those Grecians back then in those gymnasiums. You see, whether you choose to believe it or not, I'm giving you what's necessary. You see, and so 2 Maccabees chapter 4 verse 11 says, the Jews by the means of John, the father of Eupolemus, if I'm saying that correct, who went ambassador to Rome for enmity and aid, he took away and putting down the governments which were according to the law, and he brought up new customs against the law. See that? He brought up new customs, man. 2 Maccabees chapter 4 verse 12. For he built gladly a place of exercise, that gymnasium. A place of exercise, a gymnasium. Which when they went there to work out, remember, gymnasium means gymnos, which means naked. So when they went there to work out, they didn't have uniforms like they have today. When they went to work out, they was butt ass naked, because the Greeks was homosexuals, man, and they wanted us to subscribe to that same fashion. So keep in mind, when you involve yourself in sports back in the times of the Grecians, you was butt ass naked running on the field, booty holes straight out, ding-a-ling and balls hanging. Because that's how the Greeks get down, man. That's how the Greeks get down, man. The Greeks ain't nothing but a bunch of homosexuals, man. That's how they get down. Grecian men, they barely married because they love the same sex. They had compassion for the same sex. I'm showing you, this is how they got down, man. This is how they got down. They were gay. And so when Israelites, when we as a nation of Israel, you know, when we was oppressed by the Grecians, some of us sold out to that bullshit and subscribed to their customs, and we became victims of that. We started doing the same damn thing. Second Maccabees chapter 4 verse 12. Back into the Apocrypha. For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young man under his subjection, and made them do what? He made them wear a hat. And that's that modern day football helmet, man. Let's talk about the modern day football helmets. When you on the field. See? So let's go back over verse 12. Let's go back over verse 12. The place of exercise was the gymnasium, or a gymnasium, like an auditorium, a place where you go and work out naked. And his subjection, what it means when it says his subjection, because it says, for he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young man. Now he says he brought the chief young man. The chief young man is basically like the best athletes. He brought the chief young man. He got basically the best athlete, the best athletic Jews he can find. He brought the chief young man. He got the best athletic Jews he can find. It says under his projection. What is under his projection? He became their coach, just like a coach is over a football team. And he said, then he made them wear a hat. You know what I'm saying? Some type of headgear. And then he put the Jews out on the field to entertain the so-called white folks. Let me show you. He made them wear like some type of headwear while they was on the field. While they was, carrying out sports activity. Let me see. I'm showing you it is what it is, man. Don't have too many pictures that I would like to show, because I don't know why, but maybe it's just a crappy website or something. I don't know, but you get the point. See? So he made them wear a hat, and that's the modern day football helmet. And then it goes to say in 2 Maccabees chapter 4 verse 13, it says, now such was the height of Greek fashions. This was Greek fashions. See? This was Greek fashions. The wearing of the helmet, the wearing of the football helmet, that's Greek fashion. under his subjection. Coaches, that's Greek fashion. Select and chief young man, such as athletes, that's Greek fashion. Building a place of exercise, the gymnasium, that's Greek fashion. So I'm not making it up. So you can clearly see that, yeah, man, these sports teams, football, that is Greek fashion, man. Our people don't rock and roll like that. We don't have no damn business, we don't have no damn business trying to involve ourselves in football, man. And we know a lot of blacks, Hispanics love football. But when you come into the truth and the Most High really bless you and open your eyes up, you're going to see that, look, man, we are not to learn the way of the heathen, man. Proverbs 3:31, let me get that. So I'm going into the Bible now. Proverbs 3:31. Proverbs 3:31, it says, envy not the oppressor. Now, who is the oppressor? The oppressor is the so-called white man. The one that runs this government and have made you subservient slaves. It says, envy not the oppressor. Don't be like the white man and choose none of his ways. And one of his ways, one of his Grecian fashions is football, man. Football. Yes, football. I know a lot of you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans gonna hate this one. But it's the truth, man. We don't supposed to choose ways of the oppressor. And one of his ways is his football, going back to, ancient Greece. We don't supposed to do that, man. Envy not the oppressor and choose none of his ways. Now, before I close this lesson out, football, right? So let me go up. Football players. Now, I want you to really give me your attention on this one. All right. Georgia Bulldogs. Now, you see right here, this gentleman with the football in his hand. You ever wonder why football is spherical like that? It's like a spherical shape. You ever wonder why football is shaped like that? Because when I was coming up, I was just curious. I was like, why in the hell are football shaped like that? Because when you think about many other sports, we know that the balls don't shape like a football, like a beach ball, volleyball, basketball, soccer ball, tennis ball. They don't shape like a football. Football has a very odd shape. So why is it shaped like that? Because what a lot of our people fail to realize, the blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans that indulge in this Grecian fashion, what they fail to realize is that a football is nothing but a pig's bladder. And I'm going to show you this. See that? These are images for a pig's bladder. Now, I'm going to let you read it for yourself. It says, what are pig's bladders used for? Historically, the pig's bladder was used in sports. The pig's bladder were used in sports as the airtight membrane, the bladder inside a football. The bladder inside a football. In the early 19th century, the inventor William Gilbert used pig bladders in the manufacturing of rugby balls. So the football, okay, the origin of the football, you're reading about it, how historically it came from it came from an inflated an inflated pig's bladder. For centuries before the invention of the paint tube, artists used to store their paints in pigs' bladders. So back in the day, that's what artists was also doing to store their paint brushes and instruments. They was storing them in what? Pig's bladder. And also we showed you that the pig's bladder were used in sports because it started back in ancient Greece. And see, our people, we was not supposed to roll like this, because let me show you what the Most High said concerning Israel. Let's go to Deuteronomy 5. We can go to Deuteronomy 5. Let's see. Well, not Deuteronomy 5. Let's go to Leviticus 11. It's a lot. I'm sorry for that, guys. Leviticus 11, and let's take a look at 7. It says, "And the swine, though he divides the hoof and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean to you." So the swine he's unclean. He's off limits. He's not acceptable, because first and foremost, though he divide the hoof and he's cloven-footed, he cheweth not the cud. That means he doesn't digest his food well. He doesn't regurgitate his food, because the Heavenly Father told the nation of Israel that we can only eat whatsoever parted the hoofs and is cloven-footed. And if he, first and foremost, if he parts the hoof, if he's cloven-footed and he cheweth the cud, then we can eat. But if he's not cloven-footed, if he doesn't chew the cud, and if he doesn't part the hoof, he's off limits. So Leviticus, the 11th chapter, is dealing with clean and unclean foods, what's acceptable to eat and what's not. And we know Leviticus 11 and 7 talks about the swine being rejected, that we are not supposed to, eat of this scavenger. Leviticus 11 and 8, it says, "Of their flesh ye shall not eat." Not only shall not eat, and it says, "Of their carcass ye shall not touch. They are unclean to you." See? So we was told not to touch the swine. We was told by the Most High not to touch the pig, not to touch the hog. That's why I told you that football, guys. That's why I told you that football goes back to the customs of the Greeks, because the Greeks, they were filthy heathens that dealt with pigs, and they used to eat swine's flesh and such manner. And what they did when we was slaves under the Jews, they tormented us for not eating swine flesh. So if the pig, back in the ancient world, if the pig was sliced open and they took the pig's bladder, inflated the bladder, and used the bladder as a football, it was told that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, as the Israelites, we were told in the scriptures not to even touch the swine. Pursuant to Leviticus 11 and 8, says that we shall not touch their carcasses. So why in the hell do we see a so-called black man, so-called African American, which is truly a Jew, with damn pig skin in his hand, when we was told not to approach and touch the swine? This lets you know we've been greatly Hellenized, and we learned this from the Jews, man. And also it's letting you know right there off the top that football was a Grecian fashion and that we didn't originate that. The Hebrews didn't rock and roll like that. We was told to stay away from the swine. See that? So yes, when you talking about the football, guys, the football originated from an inflated pig's bladder. See, what shape is the pig? What shape is the bladder in a pig? And it says, What shape is the bladder in a pig? Kidneys. Carefully move the intestines aside to see the large beam-shaped kidneys, one on each side, covered in a shiny membrane. Then the urinary bladder. Between the blood vessels and the umbilical cord is the long, flat bladder. All right. I'm just showing you. See what else we can find. I'm just showing you guys. It says, let's take a look at this one. What are footballs made of? What are footballs made of? These days, footballs are typically made from cowhide or vulcanized rubber. See, so today, most likely you have a football that consists of cowhide or vulcanized rubber, making their nickname pig skins, because we know that the original football started off from the inflation of a pig's bladder. It says somewhat ironic. Footballs, like I said, football fans have often perpetrated the idea that footballs used to be made of pig skin. See, that football used to be made of pig skin, which is how they got their nickname. But it turns out this isn't the case, because now in modern times, in the here and now, typically they are making footballs from cowhide and vulcanized rubber. But you can see that the origin of the football started from an inflated pig's bladder, and we were told not to touch the hog. So tell me, is football really for us Israelites, blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans? And another thing, guys, let's see what else I have to cover. Let's look at this right here. See, I want you guys to see this. Now, I want you guys to see this. It says football fans often perpetrate the idea that football used to be made of pig skin, which is how they got their nickname. But it turns out this isn't the case. In fact, pig skins were originally made out of animals' bladders. See? Sometimes the bladder of a pig, which is thought to be how the moniker pig skin came about. You know what I'm saying? They may try to cover this up. The so-called white man may try to cover this up, but he can't cover up truth. He can't cover the truth up. We know that if you look at a pig's bladder, we know it's the same shape of a football. See? Let me show you. Images of a pig bladder. This is a stuffed bladder of a hog. See that? That's a stuffed bladder of a hog. Same size, the same shape of the modern day football. See that, guys? So it's, it's in the now, man. It's in the now, man. Check it out for yourself. Go and check out the shape of a hog's bladder. And it's the same shape of a football. You can't deny it. So much for that. So much for that, guys. But yeah. See what else. Now, we went over that. Alexander. We went over that. Now, this is the last thing I'm gonna cover, guys, and then I'm out. All right? Last thing I'm gonna go over, and then I'm out. In terms of sports being heathen customs. Now, I want you to pay close attention to this. This is a diagram of football team. And as you can see, this is the line of scrimmage. And then you have offense on top. And then you have defense on bottom. Now, guys, did I not tell you that the Grecians, the ancient Greeks, the so-called white people, did I not tell you they was highly homosexuals? I told you that. I told you that, guys. Did I not tell you that? Let me show you. These Greeks, they was highly homosexuals. You can even see some of the portraits, and it depicts homosexuality. You see, they was highly homosexuals, had deep compassion for the same sex. These Grecian men, they, very little Grecian man made marriages with women because they love the booty, man. They love the booty, man. So, guys, the reason why I'm saying that, because you're going to see why I'm saying this, because I'm going to tie this in with the diagram of a football team. You can see that, man. You can see the feminism in these pictures. This is how these ancient Greeks rolled, man. This is the spirit of the so-called white man. This is the nature of the so-called white man. That's why when you see these Grecian pictures, all these Grecian pictures is nude, man. It's nude. They're nude. Look at here, man. See, we wasn't indulging in no homosexuality. You know what I'm saying? We picked this up from the original Grecians in the Grecian captivity. Because I told you, man, these so-called white people, man, they have a nature like that automatically. They was created with that nature. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Look at I'm just showing you these pictures. Penis out, butt naked, butt ass naked. These Grecians love the booty, man. They didn't give a damn about no twat, no vagina. They love the booty, man. Just like in Daniel chapter 11, in verse 4, when it was talking about, see, when you go to Daniel chapter 11 and verse 4, Daniel chapter 11 and verse 4, it says it was prophesying about how Daniel would be the king over Greece. Right? Daniel chapter 11 verse 4. It says, and when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken and shall be divided towards the four winds of heaven. Because Alexander divided his kingdom among his four generals, it says not to his posterity. Because that's letting you know right there, Alexander didn't have children, man. Now, I know when you go online, you read some articles would tell you that Alexander had a daughter. If not a daughter, maybe it's a couple sons or whatever. But that's bullshit, man. Because right here, the scripture said that the kingdom was going to be divided, but the kingdom was not going to be divided to his posterity because Alexander truly didn't have any children because he cared less for women. Alexander loved the booty, man. I'm telling you right now, believe it or not. Alexander loved booty, man. He loved laying that pipe to them Grecians. He loved booty, man. Why you think Alexander died of syphilis, man? At the age of 32. Some say 33. Because he loved the booty hole, man. Just like all these other Grecians. Wake up, guys. That's why when you see these depictions of the Greeks, that's why they look like this, man. You see what I'm talking about? Peep game, guys. Peep game. These Grecians was feminine, man. And guess what? They put that on the Hebrew Israelites. Making them exercise naked in the gyms and entertain them and all this bull stuff. See right there? They letting you see when they letting you see how the ancient Greeks, you see this right here, they letting you see exactly how the ancient Greeks rolled, man. Look at her, no clothes on, two men. His head down there where he got his head down there where his penis at, his groin area. Got him bent over, booty hole all out. This is what they did. And you see, this is how the ancient Greeks rocked and rolled, man. And then guess what they did? They put it on the black Jews. Because many of our people sold out to be part of this fashion. So I'm not making it up when I tell you that the ancient Greeks, they were homosexuals and all they loved was busting booty. Now we can go to the football team and see why I said that, so you guys can see this. Now back to the football diagram. Now watch this. Now check out the offensive side. It says center. Now guys, I'm not trying to throw your mind in the gutter, but you can pretty much put two and two together. Center, guard, tackle, quarterback, halfback, fullback, wide receiver. Wide receiver, open it up wide, tight end. Think about that, guys. Wait a minute. See? And guess what? Many of the Jews, they bought into that bullshit, man, because they was heavily influenced under the Greeks. The Greeks was killing the Jews if they didn't convert to their fashions. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why you would see on the offensive line, you would see wide receiver, tight end. Come on, man. What you think about when you think about that? Wide receiver, tight end, fullback, halfback, the center. What you think about, man? Because that's what these Greeks was doing, man. Exactly. That's what these Greeks was doing, man. I'm telling you right now. I wouldn't make it up, guys. See that? Playing with each other and fulfilling each other's desires. Same sex practices, man. That's how the so-called white man. That's how he rock and roll, man. Because he estranged from the womb, man. Watch this. Wait a minute. Watch this, guys. Watch this. What is that verse? From the womb. When it says estranged from the womb, the wicked. Where is that, man? Psalms 58 verse 3. See, Psalms 58 verse 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. And not only speaking lies, but they have that spirit of homosexuality, man. The wicked is estranged from the womb, man. We were never called to be the wicked. The children of Israel are God's chosen people. See? So when you go back and you look at Greek culture, you look at these portraits, these pictures, photographs of dealing with the ancient Greeks and sports and whatever in that area, you'll see why you see a lot of nudity in this Grecian material, because that's how they rocked and rolled. They was homosexuals. So when they got out on that field, when they got out on that field, right here, as you can see, you see that, guys, when they got out there, come on, man, you already know what went down. That's why I'm showing you this team diagram. Tight end, wide receiver, quarterback, halfback, fullback, tackle it. Let me go ahead and tackle that. Guard that. Center that. Then you got the offense. And guys, what do you know? Also, you have the line of scrimmage, and then you have the defense. Now, on the defense end, it's like nose tackle. Nose tackle. Come on, man. That's oral sex, man. That's sucking a man's genitals. Nose tackle. Defensive tackle. Defensive end. You see? The linebacker. Nickelback. Cornerback. Got your back in the corner. And the safety. You know what I'm saying? If you was liable to maneuver around those homosexual practices. But like I said, man, that's all I have to say. on the behalf of Solid Foundation Israelite Academy, guys, I hope you was edified. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. This video has been 1 hour. Okay, guys, and keep the faith, seek knowledge, wisdom, over entering understanding. Until next edition, see you guys on the other side. Shalom.